This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, talk, inspiration, and prayer. Listen to my show every Monday from 11 to 12 on KWWJ 1360 AM, KYOK 1140 AM, KCOH at 1230 KCOH.com, Sankeet Radio at 95.1 FM, 1460 AM, and Latino Sports, KEYH 850 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then.
Right, Houston, Harris County, you got me, Gilbert Garcia, with another tip from me. Talk, inspiration, and prayer. Thank you, studio audience. Producer, I can't quite hear. I don't know if I'm muffled or something, but I don't quite hear myself. But that's okay. It'll, I'm sure, pick up there on you. But continuing, Gilbert Garcia here, and boy, do we have what they say in Hollywood, a really big show. That's what Ed Sullivan would say. Of course, most people don't even know who Ed Sullivan is, but he really started the whole variety hour. He's the one that broke the Beatles and Elvis and all kinds of people. And so I have two guests with me. First of all, one is my old standby, my longtime business partner, because we've been the yin to each other's yang, etc., is Ruby Dang. Ruby, welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Gilbert. Hello, Father.
Yep. When Ruby heard that we're going to be singing today, she says, I got to be on because, Ruby's, one of those great voices. But here's my real guest. Not that Ruby's not a real guest, because Ruby is a real guest.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, of
I'm
course.
not AI.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, she's not AI. And that is Father James Murphy, Jim Murphy of St. Thomas High School. Father Murphy, thank you for coming back on the show.
My pleasure.
It's so great to see you, as always. And, Father Murphy is someone that's dear to me because St. Thomas High School, and I got to give it a plug. For those of you who don't know, it's right there on, right off of Allen Parkway and Shepherd, right there, and it's been there for roughly 119 years.
Well, we came into to Houston in 1900, but we've been at that spot on Memorial and Shepherd since 1940. But when we went out there, the funny thing is when Father Father J.P. O'Rourke, he bought that land, and they said he was crazy. Why would you build a school at the end of Memorial?
Wow.
That's the concern, and on top of that, the school used to be closer downtown, right by Austin Street. And they said, why would you build a school where you couldn't see the courthouse from? I don't know what they meant about the students at St. Thomas at the time,
Right.
that they need the
need
threat of the courthouse next door.
Well, St. Thomas, the reason I said is you're so special to me is because I had two sons go through St. Thomas.
Indeed, great place.
And they blossomed into fine young men.
Very much so.
And that's what St. Thomas does. It's a whole goodness, discipline, and knowledge. That's the whole, I don't know if that's the, what's that?
The motto.
The motto.
Teach me goodness, discipline, and knowledge.
There you go. And my son, Daniel Thomas, he was, Mr. St. Thomas. And then Ben Garcia. Ben is my most funnest, mischievous child. And thank God for St. Thomas for helping him through. And now he's just blossomed into this fine young man for LSU.
Well, there is a divided house here today. I have
Go.
to say, my kiddos are St. Pius graduates. So,
St. Pius is a great school.
we always meet each other on the football field.
The battle for Shepherd Drive. I have nothing but respect for St. Pius and what the Dominican sisters have done there, and at St. Agnes over the years.
Yes.
Gilbert and I were talking earlier about Sister Jane Meyer, who was long time head of school at St. Agnes, and just there are so many amazing options and opportunities for families. And like I said, having gotten to know Gilbert and Dee Dee and his family, it's a pleasure just watching their children go through and grow. It's amazing.
It is.
Well, what's interesting is how important do you think it is these days for there to be sort of a faith element in young boys and women and just young people's education as they grow up, and to keep them, I'm just going to say, grounded, or keep them focused, or keep, I think ground is the best way I can say.
Absolutely.
What do you think about that?
I think that's exactly it. Students need to have a reason why they're learning all these things. What connects all these things? Why do I have to take math? Why do I have to take science? Why do I have to take English? Why do I have to take a world language? Why am I learning all of these things? What ties them all together? And I think having a faith-based background, whether it's Catholic, whether it's Christian, whether it's Jewish at Emery Weiner School, a marvelous school, that allows a student to see how different subject areas are really connected, because what connects them is simply this: knowledge, the desire and the ability to see all of the world and how it's connected. If you're just learning compartmentalized programs, you don't necessarily see the beauty of and the richness of the world around us.
Well, I had my first son, and he went to Bel Air, and you know what? It was too big. And the elements of a big public school, I think he got lost and swallowed up. And that's when my wife and I said, you know what? We're going to make sure we have a more nurturing environment for our next kids.
Sure.
Ruby, what made you go to St. Pius? Because where were your kids in middle school again?
Well, this is a great story, right? Because I think I touch every background, right? So I'm Mexican-American, Catholic, who married a Vietnamese Buddhist. My kids went to a Baptist school for the elementary and middle school, but then made their way to St. Pius for high school.
Sure.
One of the reasons we chose St. Pius is my son, who's the oldest. And it's a beautiful story. He had issues, learning issues growing up. And they started off at a wonderful school called Audi International.
Right, Audi is a great school.
And they're very focused on academics.
Right.
And it took some time for us to realize that my son was dyslexic and dysgraphic. And it was, as a parent, to see that struggle, it was really, really hard, right? And we did everything we were supposed to do. We took them to all the doctors, and they finally, and it's crazy, it took years for them to finally make that diagnosis. And when they did that, they said that wasn't the right learning environment for him, which is why we went to First Baptist. And they had a wonderful program for him, and he flourished. And when transitioning to a high school, I discovered that First Baptist used the model that St. Pius put together. They were the first school to actually put this type of program in place that many other schools have adopted.
Very much so, yeah.
So that was an easy
program.
transition. And now, I'm so proud of him because he graduated from A&M with a degree in economics, and he is working on Wall Street right now as
marvelous.
a 22-year-old young man.
There was maybe 20, 25 years ago, there was a move to make sure that schools, particularly private schools, started putting in these types of supports. At St. Thomas, we have what we call our Learning Enrichment Center. St. Pius has had their center for a number of years. And it's this idea that not everyone takes the same pathway. Different students have different challenges. And while we can't necessarily meet every challenge, what can we do to provide students and their families? As you said, it's for parents, it's so stressful when you don't know how to help your child.
Right.
Can we put in place those supports? And not just for the struggling student, but for the kid who's excelling, for the student who, quite frankly, the school is going too slow for them because they're just that advanced. And can you put in place those supports that just find the way to help them launch?
Well, we were fortunate, right? And because regrettably, it takes resources, right?
Yes.
And I'm so grateful that I have those resources, because I think back of where he would be. And faith had a lot to do with it, right? Because we would pray all the time. And it was so interesting because when we finally found that diagnosis, and let me tell you, it took years. Oh, I'm going to get emotional because my son looked at me and told me, why did God do this to me? That was a tough conversation, because how do you explain that to a child?
Right.
But he's now grown, and again, always grateful for the resources we had, because
Absolutely.
I may have not been able to get, I know there are other folks who don't have that opportunity.
Yes.
Well, he's exactly where he needs to be.
Yes.
So the good Lord did wonderful things, and now look at him.
Look at him.
He's just, he's kicking and taking names.
That's right.
On
He
Wall
really
Street.
is.
Nice.
That is so amazing. Well, we have a caller already, so I'm going to bring him in. And by the way, this is supposed to be our sing-along show, because there's carpool karaoke and those things. Well, we have our own Tip from Gilbert karaoke, and we're going to have, of course, 2 amateurs singing with a pro, because Father Murphy, I mean, his voice is like butter. When you hear him singing, it's
Hope
just
it's
like,
not rancid.
Yeah, no, you just feel this. It just like says Christmas.
Yes.
It just does. Dominic, are you there, Dominic?
Yes, Gil. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, pal. What do you got for us today on a tip from Gilbert?
Since we're in this Christmas spirit, since we have somebody from a Catholic school here, we got myself and 2 people on the host Catholic. Today in the Western Church, the Latin Rite, there's a special antiphon used for the gospel and in Vespers. It's one of the old antiphons, and it basically says, "O King of the nations, the one that everybody wants, please come," which of course is what we put into history at Christmas time. With that, Father, I think you have a names. Your organization, your congregation has a names day on January the 3rd. I think that's St. Basil.
January 2nd, the Feast of St. Basil the Great and Gregory Nazianzen.
Okay, and Gregory Nazianzen. Okay, I was one day. I'm sorry, Father. I was just trying to emphasize y'all got a names day coming up. Father, the thing is, I went to St. Pius. That was 50 years ago. But the thing that maybe you're doing it, maybe not. I'm going to send this out. In a Catholic or any private school, in some ways the students coming in are isolated so that they can learn. That's a good thing. But are you doing anything? And maybe Gil, you can maybe say Saint Agnes, because you still got pretty close relations there. When they are, say, leaving sophomore year, entering junior and senior year, do the students, as part of a senior project, quote unquote, do they have to go out and get hours in public service, like work a soup kitchen, and so on? And one last thing before I leave this, and Gil, as former chair of Metro, will agree with me. I think part of that witness, being that St. Sir Thomas More, is for a student to go in front of a public body. It could be anything, Metro, City Hall, whatever. I think these students need to go in front of a government body and make a speech about something on the agenda or something, so that as lay people going out into the world, you can go and fight City Hall. You can fight injustice, and one of them is going to City Hall or whatever and tell people you're doing the wrong thing, and empower people to do that. And with that, Father, with that, Gil, and everybody, have a Merry Christmas. Have a happy Epiphany, because some people do get gifts on the Epiphany of the Lord, not Christmas. And see you later.
Well, Dominic, let us ask one important question. Are you there?
Go ahead.
One important question. Are you ready?
Go for it.
What is your favorite Christmas song?
Me play a song?
What is your favorite Christmas song?
Oh, actually, the favorite song I like is what the Trans-Siberian Orchestra did with the Pachelbel's Canon.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they call it the Christmas Canon now. I like the way they combined the old and the new and made a beautiful hymn out of it.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you, Dominic, and please call in again. Well, that's not one we can sing, but I'll pick one because one of the ones I love all the shows, and now of course you can really just go and stream them. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, we'd always check the newspaper and figure out when is Santa Claus is coming to town going to be?
Yes.
When is Frosty the Snowman going to be? When is Charlie Brown? And you try to make sure you could see it. And then the next iteration was you could buy it on VHS. And for those of you who don't know what that is, that's where the tape is like this big.
Yeah.
And the camera used to be huge. And then the next thing was you could get it on DVD. Well, now you can just stream it. And so now you can get it on demand. And I love all those. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus Coming to Town.
They used to call that appointment viewing.
Is that what it is?
They'd call that appointment. When you would look at your TV guide and appointment viewing. You and your family knew when that was happening, and you'd sit down.
We would.
Absolutely.
We would.
And that was sacred.
Yes.
It was sacred time. And appointment viewing, yeah.
And and they never were like back to back. And now, because when my kids were growing up and I had the big disc and all that, and we could see them back to back.
Right.
And of course, the Grinch. I love the Grinch. So now I picked one, Ruby. Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Perfect.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are we ready, Mr. Murphy?
We are.
Father, let's go. So you ready? And I'm going to first, you better watch out.
Better not.
Okay, you better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why
Santa Claus is coming to town. He's making a list, checking it twice, gonna find out who's naughty or nice. Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Oh, you better watch out, you better not cry, you better not pout, I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. With little tin horns, little toy drums, Rudy Toot Toot and Rummy Tum Tums. Santa Claus is coming to town. And curly-haired dolls that coddle and coo, elephants, boats, and kitty cars too. Santa Claus is coming to town. The kids and girls and boyland will have a jubilee.
Come on, Rick.
We're gonna build a toyland town all around the Christmas tree. Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town.
That was good. And I remember that they started something where you could go on the computer and it would tell you where Santa Claus is.
Oh, absolutely.
And we would go to my kids and say, look, he's already and going across Europe. And my kid's like, really? Well, I want to stay up and see when he's over, Corpus Christi, Texas, or Houston. I'm like, well, you can't do that. Because then they're going to go outside and they're going to be looking. But, oh, my goodness, holidays are so great. So let me start with you, Ruby. What's the big tradition at the Dang house about Christmas?
Well, it's all about eating.
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
it comes down to just eating.
And what do y'all eat for Christmas?
Well, again, the background with the Hispanic family and the Asian family, we do a little mix of tamales, menudo, and then we do roasted pig and fried egg rolls. So it's a feast.
It's a great fusion.
And do y'all eat with chopsticks?
Well, you can if you want.
Oh, my God.
We have chopsticks out,
Yep.
but we also have traditional utensils.
Well, I will tell you, Father, and we're going to come to you, which is at my house. So first of all, we open all of our gifts Christmas Day.
Right.
On Christmas Eve, you can open one gift, just one. And we always go to dinner with a family, that longtime friends of ours, the Harris family. Josh Harris went to
great family. Love Josh.
St. Thomas, and we always have our priests and some of the priests from Corpus Christi Catholic Church, and we all have together a meal at a restaurant, and then we go home, etc. And what I've been doing since my kids were little, for the whole month of December, we read the 12 Days of Christmas.
Nice.
The whole month. And I meant to bring it in the same book that I've had for 20 years of the 12 Days of Christmas. But on Christmas Eve, I get all the kids together, and they have to do it. Even now, we sit and I read Twas the Night Before Christmas.
Nice.
And I have that same book. It's one of those big, beautiful books with all this great illustrations. And I've had that book for like 20 years.
Wow.
And I read the same book. I keep it together. 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And it's just a very, very wonderful thing that I want to instill on my kids, that they'll have a tradition with their kids. Before we go, Father, because I want to hear about, if you don't mind, young Murph. When young Murph, because see, we're good enough friends, I can call him Murph.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Young Murph, when he was, in middle school and everything, and what was Christmas like at his house?
Oh, my house was crazy. So I grew up with 7 sisters.
Oh my gosh.
Big family, small house, 1 bathroom. I always like to say that it was crazy growing up in my house.
Where were you in the?
So I had 5 older sisters,
Yep.
and then 2 younger. The 2 younger ones were, let's just say, surprises.
Yeah, I understand.
Along the lines. But yeah, Christmas at our house was always it was active. Most of my sisters and myself, and my parents, we were very involved in our church, just a few blocks from our house, and we would have Christmas Eve Mass. Most of us were in the choir, so we'd sing the midnight mass, and we'd have a concert that would start about 10:30 at night, called the Hodie concert, meaning today. We would give this hour-and-a-half long concert that would lead up to the start of midnight mass, and the crest, as it were, would be Jimmy O'Leary, who was this wonderful Irish tenor who would sing "O Holy Night," and that was the last song before midnight mass began. A few times in my life, I got to sing "O Holy Night" when I was in high school, but I was not Jimmy O'Leary. Jimmy O'Leary, this marvelous, incredible Irish tenor, would sing "O Holy Night," and we'd be up in the choir loft, and once he was done, we're all hugging each other. It's officially Christmas. We'd have Christmas midnight mass, then we'd go back home. While my sisters and I were at mass, Santa was filling the stockings.
Oh, how wonderful.
Santa was making sure everything was under the Christmas tree. We'd come home and maybe have a mug of hot chocolate before we'd go back. We'd go up to bed. Then we'd Christmas morning. The first thing we would do is we'd have to wait for everyone to use the bathroom.
Yep.
We weren't allowed to go downstairs until everyone had used the facilities. Dad was always the last. Dad would then go down, turn the lights on the Christmas tree, and then we could go down the stairs, take our stockings from the banister. They all were kind of hung in ascending age, and then we'd gather around the Christmas tree. All of us we could open the presents in our stockings in our own time, but then Dad would distribute the presents from under the tree, and it was so much fun. Just raucous laughter, a lot of joy. And it was interesting. Each year there would always be kind of one less sister who would be around the Christmas tree, and as they're starting their own families, and that was always kind of the challenging part. Okay, it's how do we still maintain all that as my sisters are starting those traditions with their families, and my parents were very good about letting my sisters know, this is, as you start your family, you start your own traditions. You don't have to come back to see us. We'll come to see you at some point in time, but you start your own traditions with your own family, and your Christmas morning is yours.
Wow.
That's nice.
Well, you know what? But what I heard of Christmas morning was chaos.
Chaos.
At the Murphy house.
Organized chaos.
It's like, I can imagine, see, maybe it's a Latino thing, but maybe it's just, the Garcias. When we're there, okay, it's like off to the races. Okay, go. And then everything, and there's this paper everywhere, there's trash everywhere. And then before you know it, it's like, is there any more? Is there any more?
We showed some decorum. Like I said, Dad, as Dad would give a gift to one of my sisters, we would actually stop and watch, and ooh and ah appropriately.
Yep.
We would celebrate each other, and then once all that was done, then Dad would go. We'd put the water on for tea in the morning for Mom, and that's how we started our day. It was always just, and then we'd go to Mass that morning, and then visit other family or whatever. It was just just a lot of fun. We just wanted to be together. That's the biggest thing at Christmas time for us was being able to see each other, celebrate each other, love each other.
Yes.
Well, we would always do midnight mass also, and I remember this is what little boys think, because when I was young, Gilbert Garcia, I was always so hungry because we really couldn't eat till after church.
Right? Yeah.
And all I could think about during Mass was, I can't wait to eat the host, because I was hungry, and that's what little boys think.
The host will tide me over.
That's what little boys are thinking. It's like, I'm hungry.
Could you ask for a second?
And I know. And then we go to my Uncle Richard's house, and he was a chef, and boy, the food. All I remember was just, when you open the door, it just smelled like Christmas.
Yes.
Just everything.
Yeah.
I mean, everything. And it was a little bitty table. The floor was plywood. That's how we were. And we had one bathroom with the old sort of the heater thing where you'd have to, those little heaters down there. I don't even know what those are, where there's like a little flame heater. And I remember those were the best times of my life, being there with Uncle Richard and my family. And it was so great. But we have another caller, because I know we want to get weepy, and that's a beautiful weepy. Is Alex on? Alex, are you there? Alex.
Gilbert, Alex.
Alex, you got me, Gilbert Garcia, Father Murphy, and Ruby Dang. We're talking Christmas. We are talking about traditions. And I know you have a question for us, but before we do that, I want to ask you something, Alex. This is what happens when you're the second caller. You get a question to you, which is, what's a tradition at your house? Presumably you celebrate Christmas at your home, etc. What was the tradition at the Alex household when you were growing up?
So I grew up in a Mexican Catholic household, so we do celebrate on the 24th. And my mom has a huge nativity set, so at 12 o'clock, we'll pass the baby Jesus around, give him a kiss, and then lay him down.
Nice.
And we also do a Secret Santa every year. So those are like the two ongoing traditions that we've always done.
Oh, how wonderful. That is wonderful.
Yes, we always had to get the baby Jesus out from whatever drawer you kept him in.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely. I totally understand that. Yes.
The holy drawer.
Exactly,
because
because the baby Jesus cannot show up.
That's
yet.
right. That's right. I know it well. Well, Alex, what do you have a question for Father Murphy, for me, or for Ruby Dang, or anything you want to say to Houston, Harris County?
Yeah, I wanted to know what your favorite or y'all's favorite Christmas food is.
Oh, great question.
Well, I can tell you what mine is. But and it's not necessarily Christmas, but I remember it because he would make it every Christmas. Macaroni and cheese. And I mean, somehow that macaroni and cheese was just like, there's just nothing but cheese. And I mean real cheese, not like the liquid cheese that today. Where he would get the big bars and would just grate them with the old-fashioned grater thing, where if you did it too hard, you'd cut your fingers. And it was just massive cheese. And I couldn't wait to get a big mound of mac and cheese and put gravy on top of it.
Yeah.
That was. My studio audience is already saying, "Where's the mac and cheese around here?" But that's a good question. What about you, Ruby? What's your favorite food?
I don't think I could name one. I think I had a favorite plate.
Go ahead.
It consisted of tamales, rice, beans, tostadas, guacamole, salsa, and with a side of menudo.
Now that is definitely a Mexican Christmas right there. That is beautiful.
Yes.
Father Murphy, what about you? What was your favorite food?
Well, as a Murphy, growing up in Massachusetts, we didn't have any of that near us. Just going to say. However, we would have either a turkey dinner, big turkey dinner, or sometimes ham, and I just loved all of it. Whether it be the pumpkin pie, the sweet sweet potatoes, the mashed potatoes, the green bean casserole with the fried onions on the crispy fried onions on the top. Just all of it on a plate that was probably like one size too small for all that I tried to put on it. And of course, again, being in a big family, being crammed around a table, it's not just the food, but it was the atmosphere. It's being one of the only left-handers in my family, I always got to sit on the end of the table, which was very important.
That's strategic.
You didn't want to sit in the middle because you'd be passing food the entire time. But there's just so much. You talked about the smells, fresh baked bread, pies, cookies. All of those things. They tell me that I'm surrounded by love. They tell me I'm surrounded by the people who are most important to me.
Amen. Stay with us there, Alex, because I want to ask Father Murphy another question. So you've been involved with St. Thomas now for how many years?
Going on, I'll be finishing 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was a long time. And you've really held other positions there.
Yeah,
you were
over.
president. You've had everything, really.
I've taught. I've worked in.
Yep.
I've worked in athletics, drama. Dean of Students Office, president now. I'm vice president for mission. Kind of the idea of that is to be able to focus more on the pastoral needs that pop up every day.
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, this is where I'm going. Is there something in the air that you can feel there at St. Thomas that it's like, this is the month of December? Do the kids get excited? And I don't mean kids because they're young men already. But do you feel like it's holidays? Because the kids are changing. They're all excited and they can't wait. And then comes that last day when it's the Christmas break and ding, 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 ding. And then bam. What's it all about?
It's not as, quite frankly, it used to be that way. It used to be that way. But it has changed since we've given them so much more time at Thanksgiving. So back in the old days when the earth was still cooling, and we were in high school, Gilbert.
Yep.
That's
for sure.
On Thanksgiving, you'd have a half day on Wednesday.
That was it.
And then you'd be off on Wednesday, on Thursday and Friday. So you didn't. Now we give kids and families a whole week at Thanksgiving. So that takes away a lot of that. That decompresses a lot. Let the air valve, go. So there's a little bit less of that than maybe when we were students in school. But there is that. I always like to say at the end of a semester, you get to see students. Get to the end of a semester, they're more mature than they were at the beginning, or maybe they're transitioning into another layer of discomfort for themselves. Whether they're growing, it's fascinating watching, particularly like that sophomore year where they're going through growth spurts and all of that stuff. They literally wake up in the morning and don't know where the end of their arm is because it's not in the same place it was when they went to bed.
Yep.
But I think, this time of year there is an excitement. There's for seniors, they're starting to make those more definitive plans about what's happening next year. Juniors are stressed out because they know how important their grades are in their junior year and setting themselves up for success their senior year. Sophomores, nobody likes them because by definition, they're sophomores and nobody likes them.
I totally get it.
I have an interesting story because my daughter just came home from A&M. She is a junior in their engineering program. And she was excited because she was on her phone and she goes, "Oh, Mom, I got a 4.0 this semester."
Fantastic.
And so that got my husband and I talking about that we remembered in high school, you would take your finals before Christmas break and they would post your grade out in front of the door. And she was like, so surprised. She goes, "Mom, so everyone knew your grade and you knew everyone else's grade?" Yes.
But, and you had to take that walk of shame.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they never experienced that.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember that too.
Everyone was huddled because you're like
trying
trying to find your name.
Trying to find your name.
Did I pass? Yes.
Wow.
So they don't do that. They
well,
get everything
everything
sent electronically.
everything's
now.
sent home. And but thing is, but also at the same time, with technology now the parents know exactly how their child is doing every day.
Yeah.
Everything's posted the moment, and I always tell parents, you have the ability to hover as much as you want.
Yeah.
And it's right there. If you are surprised by your son's grade, the end of the semester, don't blame us.
That's right.
That's right.
And I can tell you that Dee Dee Garcia, of course, Houston Harris County, that's my wife. She would hover. And by the way, you said another thing. I just know that Dee Dee Garcia is going to say about when the kids grow up and start their own traditions. Not with Dee Dee Garcia. She's going to be, you're going to be at my house, and you're going to be eating at my table, and you're going to listen to Dad do the 12 Days of Christmas, and blah, blah.
Yes.
I just know her. Well, Alex, this is the most important question for you, Alex. Are you still there? Alex.
Hello?
Okay. I want to ask you, what is your favorite Christmas song?
That's such a hard question. It's Feliz Navidad.
Oh my God! That happens to be one that we have here. All right, that's the one that I think Ruby picked. So, Alex, this song is for you.
Hold on,
Okay?
let me find it.
Thank you.
Do you have it, Ruby?
I got it now.
Okay.
I didn't know all the words of the other song.
I know, that's okay.
I just-
Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Feliz Navidad. Da, 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 da. Feliz Navidad. Da, 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 da. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad. That's it. Feliz Navidad. Da, da, da. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Da, 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 da. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. All right, we'll go to another one. That is a great one.
Yeah, classic.
All right,
That's a classic.
It's a classic. Thank you, Alex, for giving us that song.
Great choice.
I want to go to a couple other things here, which I could. And these times, Father, these are difficult times right now.
Very
in the
much.
world.
Very much so.
There's conflict in the Middle East. There's conflict in Eastern Europe. There's conflict on American soil. There's conflict in Washington. There's. I mean, it just seems like everywhere around us, things are so difficult. And what's interesting is I saw two different articles, and one was here, September 11th, 2025, from Malaya Ellis of the Houston Chronicle. And it says here that Houston has the highest poverty rate among America's most populous cities. That is so dreadful. You don't want poverty rate anywhere, especially in such a rich country as America. But to think here in our own backyard.
Yeah.
And I have two other articles, and I think I'm going to ask you for a prayer, Father, because somehow we've got to really pray for those who are going to not have all these great traditions, to not have all this great food, not have all these wonderful things this holiday season. And I had another article here. This is on December 13th from the Houston Chronicle. And it says here from Erica Greider, it says, Houston is the worst city to move to in Texas, new ranking says. And I read the information. I won't go through it now, but I'll do it at a future show. And the main two things that really hurt Houston, number one, was crime, and number two was poverty. And then I had another thing which talks about what we had for the Super Feast. And our firm, Ruby, as you know, has always supported the Super Feast the last couple of years. And I volunteered there. It's over at George R. Brown serving people for Thanksgiving. And I have had my son and my daughter and everyone. We've served food, and we've done holiday food giveaways, turkey giveaways, and we sponsored some with Senator Boris Miles at the church, et cetera, et cetera. And it says here, this is now, of course, November 27th. Tens of thousands of hungry Houstonians line up for the annual Thanksgiving Super Feast downtown. And if you haven't been, it's true. It says here there were 6,000 volunteers that prepared the food, and there was a ton of food served today. It said here we've got roughly 20,000 turkeys that have been cooked and 10,000 chickens, and they're going to serve 25,000 people. Thank goodness we have that. But on the other hand, it's heartbreaking, Father.
It is.
And if for people who think, people they don't want to work, or they don't want to do this or that, that's not true. People are standing in line for hours for a free, basket of groceries, or for a free meal for Thanksgiving. People are hurting out there. So this is the time, Houston, Harris County, to really think about everybody, your fellow human beings, and really a time to give thanks for what you have, and to really try to help those who don't have. Father, what do you feel about all of that?
Well, go back to the question that Dominic raised earlier in the show when he asked what schools are doing in terms of having students volunteering, and actually, for years we would have students do volunteer hours.
Okay.
And you would say, okay, you've got to do 100 while you're a student. You've got to do 100 hours, maybe 20 as a freshman, 20 as a sophomore, then 40 as a junior and senior, because you can drive more. But we really found that was the idea for getting hours wasn't really achieving the purpose. So what we moved toward in the last few years is we want them to have volunteer experiences, something that is actually going to have them engaged with the materially poor, with those who are materially outcast, on the edges of society. We want them actually to get to see and know these peoples, these realities, because Dominic was right. They need to be able to understand the world around them, but you can't do that truly in your heart without actually being there. You can intellectually understand it. You can understand economic systems. However, unless you've gone to bed hungry, you don't know what that's like. Unless you have been in line to collect a basket of food, you don't know what that's like, and you don't know the story behind the people who are trying their darndest to provide for their families. And so I look at my own family. We're a big family, and there were years I know that were struggles for my parents to just to make ends meet, and yet my parents always put on a brave face for me and my sisters, and tried to keep us going forward. And so when I look at at this, we are such a wealthy city, such a wealthy nation, and we but during this holy season, one of the things we point out is that we as Christians, or I as a Christian, recognize that the basis of my faith is that God came not through power and riches, but through a child in a manger, couldn't even get into an inn. Jesus did not come from. He didn't come from the Ivy Leagues. He did not come from. He didn't come from a power conference. His school wouldn't have made the college football playoffs, and be complaining like some schools are. The reality is in our faith is that we meet God, we meet Christ in the poorest. we meet Christ in the disadvantaged. We meet them there. So if we say we are followers of Jesus, that means we've got to be there to meet him.
Amen. Amen.
My goodness. Yeah, amen for that. You know, I saw another survey, and I don't have it here, Houston, Harris County, but I'm going to paraphrase, and if I get it wrong, we can fact check me later because I don't remember exactly. I think it was a Kinder survey, and it said that people did not have the ability to handle something, an emergency expense, something small like $400. Couldn't do it. And that what that means is some families are $400 away from being homeless.
Yeah.
Or they're having to make decisions, forget about cable TV or cell phone. They're trying to make a decision between transportation to get to work or food.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, Father, if you wouldn't mind giving us a prayer for all this, I don't know, madness or all this. I mean, there are so many great things in the world and there's so much beauty, but yet there's also so much more that we can do for others. So if you could give us a prayer, we'd really appreciate it there, Father.
Certainly. So for whoever is listening, whatever your faith background is, I would simply ask you to place your heart and your mind, open to the world around you. And in my Catholic faith, I ask our loving God to open all of our hearts to receive all the blessings that are around us with joy, with hope, but also with the responsibility to share all the blessings that we have, to open our eyes to see the needs of the people around us, and to respond, to be the action of God at work in our world by bringing care, bringing love, bringing support, bringing peace to families who desperately need it. And as we begin this marvelous season of Christmas and we prepare for this new year, we pray that we bring the blessings that God gives us out to the world, that we be the bearers of that hope, that we be the bearers of that faith, we be the bearers of that love out into the world.
Amen. Amen. What a beautiful prayer. Well, we have another caller. So, what was that name again? Is that a Natalie? Natalia. Natalia, are you there?
I am.
You are here on a tip from me, Talk Inspiration and Prayer with Father Murphy and Ruby Dang, and we're talking things like holidays, traditions, things that we remember. So, being that you're now the third caller today, and the third is the charm, what is a tradition at your family?
So, we like to take international trips every year. We like to make it a goal to explore more of this beautiful world that we're in. So this year, we want to go to Canada to see the mountains.
Nice.
And so y'all do it during Christmas?
Yeah, because it's very snowy and it's like the perfect time to go explore.
Are you going
Wow.
Are you going up to Whistler?
We want to go to Banff.
Oh, I've never been to Banff.
I've been to Banff. And when you're there at the hotel, you can see the mountains and you can see the bears walking on the
Nice.
mountains. It's unbelievable. It's so beautiful. Well, that is so great. Well, I thought you were going to say you want to go see like Niagara Falls, which is over there. Is it on Toronto? It's on the Buffalo side.
It's on. Well, the Canadian Falls are much more beautiful. They have a larger arc, but they often will light up the falls during Christmas. It's beautiful. Absolutely.
Oh my goodness!
But I also say it is cold.
I know it is
because you have that the mist, the constant mist. But it is glorious because I lived in Toronto for 10 years and lived in Rochester, New York, which is about an hour and a half from the falls. But Canada, I mean, whether it be the falls or the mountains in Banff or out in BC, just glorious.
Wow. Well, we hope you have a wonderful time. And what do you have for us today? And by the way, just to remind all of us, a tip from Gilbert, you can call in anytime at 832-570-8075. And all I know is when I'm done eating, I think I'm going to try to get me a taqueria Laredo. Laredo taqueria Laredo. Because you know what? They have the best carne guisada in town. And that's not a paid advertisement. That's a free advertisement because you know what? They have the best carne guisada in town. So what do you got there, Natalia?
Can y'all sing Frosty the Snowman?
Oh
That's
my!
favorite.
Look at that! Let me. And I love that show.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, there you go. And and you sound like him. You know what? You may have to join us there, Natalia. So hold on. Are y'all ready?
Ready.
Natalia, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Frosty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul with a corncob pipe and a button nose and 2 eyes made out of coal. Frosty the Snowman is a fairy tale, they say. He was made of snow, but the children know how he came to life one day. There must have been some magic in that old silk hat they found, for when they placed it on his head, he began to dance around. Oh, Frosty the Snowman was alive as he could be, and the children say he could laugh and play just the same as you and me.
Here's the best part.
Thumpity thump thump, thumpity thump thump, look at Frosty go. Thumpity thump thump, thumpity thump thump, over the hills of snow. Frosty the Snowman knew the sun was hot that day, and he said, let's run and we'll have some fun now before I melt away. Down to the village with a broomstick in his hand, running here and there all around the square, saying, catch me if you can. He led them down the streets of town right to a traffic cop, for they only stopped a moment when he heard them holler, stop. Oh, Frosty the Snowman had to hurry on his way, but he waved goodbye saying, don't you cry, I'll be back again someday.
How was that?
I mean, how can you not love Frosty the Snowman?
It's just all happiness and goodness.
I will say, Houston, I mean, Chris, I'm from New England, and while we've probably had more snow in Texas than I expected during my time here, so much of my experience too growing up was having snowball fights, going outside, building snowmen, and just having, like, enjoying the snow. Like, you could bundle up as much as, if you didn't complain about it being too cold outside, and getting snow in your gloves, because you did that to yourself.
Yeah.
You went out. When we would go out as a family to get our Christmas tree, we'd go to some place that guy had a farm, and you'd go and my sisters and I would start a snowball fight with my dad while we were picking out the Christmas tree. So I love Frosty the Snowman specifically, Natalia, because of that idea of the cold and how it lays this calmness over the earth, and I think a calmness I think we all should have,
and we all need.
Yes.
Well, when it had the snow flurries here, I made some little snowmen about this big.
Yeah.
And I put them there against the step, the little steps, but it looked tall. And I got my camera and I went way down. and everyone said, God, look at all that snow you had, because I put it out. And they didn't know it was like this big. But Natalia, did you, I think we lost her already. But I think that these are wonderful things. And I wanted to do probably my favorite song, and that's the Christmas song. And we're going to do that in just a moment. I do think that in this Christmas time, Houston, Harris County, just be nice to your neighbors. Just it's one of those things where, more than likely they're feeling the same thing you're feeling: the hustle and bustle of life, the pressure of bills, the pressure of work. And sometimes, some people just need a hug now and then, or just a a smile now and then. And we just need to do that more often sometimes.
Absolutely.
Because we're all in a rush, Father. And I'm to blame. I'm in a rush all the time, Ruby. But, we just got to take a pause and be thankful for the great health that we have, all the beautiful things that we see, all the beauty around us that we take for granted every single day.
Yeah.
So the Christmas song is one of my favorites because it's just such a beautiful song. And I remember when I was growing up, we had one of those, what I'll call it real fireplaces, right? Where it had the gas metal cross, and we would burn wood. And I remember I had the task of always taking out all the ashes, and but at the end of the day, we would burn real wood. Now, of course, we have the times you just flip it on, flip it off. That's what we have at our house, and of course, I love it. But there's something about the popping of and the what do you call it? The ambers or the sparks?
The embers, yeah.
Yep, going in the sky, going up. There's something about that. And we had a real rickety rocking chair and another rickety chair. And my dad and I would sit in front of the fireplace. It was just me and him. And everything, all the lights were off except the fire. And it was right by the tree. And we would just stare at that fire.
Oh, yeah.
And we would just, it was just mesmerizing. And somehow we didn't say a whole lot to each other, but yet we both had the best time of our lives together in front of that fire.
Absolutely.
And
I thought
so
you were going to say because of the elf on the shelf.
Yeah, well-
I wanted to make sure that
That's right.
you were.
That's right. Well, on that note, a little bit of humor. So we've always had a live Christmas tree since, when I first had my kids and Dee Dee and all of us, and we'd go and pick out a Christmas tree. And Dee Dee would always say after like week 2 or 3, like, all the pine needles are falling down. And I keep having to, sweep them up. And so then we started getting the artificial tree. But you know what? We got to go back to some of these things, like burning a real fire log and a real tree. And, we're getting into that society. And, of course, we're to blame where it's all quick. It's all quick and convenience. And when I think of the Christmas song, it reminds me of being there with my dad. And so, Father, if you don't mind, I'm just going to start the first line or two, and if you would take over, because the Christmas song has been done by so many, and I think probably one of my best versions that I love is by the group called The Carpenters.
Oh, absolutely.
By Karen and Richard Carpenter. And, of course, I love people like Johnny Mathis, but there's so many people that have done that song. And it starts off with, chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh, and every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering these simple phrases to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you. Well, Houston and Harris County. Well, first of all, Dad, that's for you. I miss you all the time, every day. We lost my dad about 6 or 7 years ago. But I think of you all the time. Houston, Harris County, let's say thank you to, first of all, my partner, Ruby Dang, who can always come in at the last moment, and she's happy to be part of anything we do on our shows. I want to thank all the callers, because I know it's busy. They're probably Christmas shopping, because that's what we do during the holidays. And of course, you can call in anytime. And let me say thank you to Father Murphy, because he's an inspiration to so many in our community, but most importantly, to those hundreds of boys and young men, frankly, who go through St. Thomas, and they turn to him for spiritual guidance, all of the faculty and everyone associated with the school. And so, Father, you have a tough task to be that spiritual anchor for all of us. So please, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for singing with us. And Houston and Harris County, this is Gilbert Garcia saying, be good to your neighbors, and we'll see you next time.
All right, Houston, Harris County, this is Gilbert Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, Talk, Inspiration, and Prayer. We're going to now be on television. We will air every Saturday on Comcast 17, AT&T Channel 99, Phonoscope Channel 96, Suddenlink 99, and also hmstv.org. Every new episode every Saturday at 7 p.m. And follow me on social media. See you then.